WWE, ECW, WCW, and TNA. If you're a wrestling fan in the 90s or early 2000s, you would have seen one of these, if not all of them. And you would have noticed a lot of wrestlers jumping ship from one company to another, but just who appeared in all four? Well, I'm Reese from the Wrestling Hideout, and this is 10 wrestlers to appear in WWE, WCW, the original ECW, and TNA. Number 1, Scott Steiner. One half of the legendary Steiner brothers, Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner made his way through all the major US promotions from the early 90s to the late 2010s. Famously holding the World Tag Team titles with his brother Rick Steiner in the late 80s to early 90s, WCW and WWF at the time, before transitioning into the Big Papa Pump we all know and love as a single star. Holding the WCW World title multiple times, a rather failed WWE run including World title matches against Triple H, which are as bad as I remembered, Scott Steiner would go on to TNA and Impact, as it would later be known, for a very long run, including the infamous Steiner Math promo. But did you know both him and Rick appeared in ECW for a brief stint in '95, even appearing in a 6-man tag, teaming with the legendary Eddie Guerrero to take on the team of Cactus Jack, Too Cold Scorpio, and Dean Malenko, in an amazing match that you can now watch on the WWE Vault YouTube channel, and I'd highly recommend it. Number 2, Mick Foley. The legendary Mick Foley and all his personas are next on our list. Starting in WCW as Cactus Jack, embodied in feuds with the likes of Sting and Vader in some incredible matches. Foley would later leave and become a huge focal point of ECW, wrestling in some legendary matches and teaming with Mikey Whipwreck in such an underrated tag team. Moving on to the WWE under the guise of Mankind, bringing in Cactus Jack and then Dude Love, the three faces of Foley. Foley had way too many amazing feuds and matches to list everything here, but the Mankind feud, The Undertaker, and the Cactus Jack feud with Triple H in 2000 spring to mind. Foley would make a few appearances with WWE after his final match, before making his way to Impact Wrestling, even defeating Sting for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in 2009. Number 3, Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn is probably best known for his ECW or even Ring of Honor run, but of all the major promotions, he actually started in WCW as the masked wrestler Mr. JL in their Cruiserweight division, often mixing up with the Luchadors, inspiration taken from ECW. After making a very brief and forgettable stop in the WWE for like 2 matches, Lynn found himself in ECW, in my opinion, his best work. Often being one of the highlight stars and ECW World Heavyweight Champion, Lynn would go on to have one of the best feuds and series of matches ever with Mr. Monday Night Rob Van Dam, as well as multiple highlight moments such as the Die written on his chest in Steve Corino's blood. With the closure of ECW, Jerry Lynn found himself in WWE holding the forgotten Light Heavyweight Championship, and I honestly don't remember ever seeing him wrestle. Finally making his way to TNA in the early days, taking on a young AJ Styles in some insane matches back in 2002. Number 4, Raven. Scott Levy had a few gimmicks early into his career, but his most popular and famous is of course Raven. A staple of ECW, including his legendary feud with Tommy Dreamer, Raven would eventually make his way to WCW, introducing his Flock, which features stars like Perry Saturn and Billy Kidman. Eventually finding his way back to ECW, Raven would soon become a staple of WWE's hardcore division, including a great hardcore title match at WrestleMania X7 against the Kane and the Big Show. Finding himself released from WWE, Raven would debut in TNA instantly in the NWA World Heavyweight title picture against Jeff Jarrett, going on to claim the title to add to his ECW World Heavyweight title accolades. Number 5, Scott Hall. Possibly the greatest wrestler to never win a world championship, Scott Hall, then known as Razor Ramon, had many memorable moments in WWE, including the incredible Intercontinental Championship ladder match against Shawn at WrestleMania, which they then followed with another amazing one at SummerSlam. However, Scott was probably best known for his jump to WCW at the height of his popularity. We'll look past the Diamond Stud for now, alongside Kevin Nash going on to form the legendary NWO with Hulk Hogan. However, after a very sad fall from grace in WCW, Scott Hall would make 2 appearances in ECW, the first teaming with Jerry Lynn to take on Rhino and Just Incredible, After coming back to the WWE with Nash and Hogan as part of WWE's version of the NWO, and possibly producing one of the best Stone Cold Stunner sells ever, Hall would find himself released, landing in TNA doing a few appearances before teaming with Nash and Jarrett as the Kings of Wrestling. Please check this out. I can't do this justice, just look at the promo in the car. You'll know when you see it. Sadly, a career marked by so many highs as well as so many lows. I think it's safe for me to say we all, as wrestling fans, are very thankful that he managed to get his life back on track before he sadly passed away. Number 6, Sabu. Yes, that's right, Sabu has wrestled in all 4 of these companies. Sabu actually appeared in WWE dark matches before he ever appeared in the others, but his first major appearance is of course in ECW, which he's probably most famous for. Being a staple of the main event scene, a multiple time world champion, teaming with Rob Van Dam in some amazing matches, as well as wrestling with crazy injuries and in crazy matches like barbed wire ropes, where he had to be cut out of the wiring. Sabu would be poached by WCW early into the Cruiserweight division, however his run was far from good, losing his final match to none other than Disco Inferno. Landing back in ECW, which included Sabu featuring in ECW's takeover of Monday Night Raw, where he would fall off the giant R sign, landing on Team Taz instead of diving off, which we won't talk about. With the closure of ECW, TNA was an obvious landing spot for Sabu, where he would have a great feud with the Monster Abyss, as well as face off with people like Jeff Hardy. From this stems Sabu being hired by the WWE for their WWE ECW brand, where he would have probably the biggest match of his career when he faced John Cena at Vengeance on pay-per-view. He lost in 6 minutes, but could have been a great match had they been given the time. Number 7, Chris Candido. One of the best in-ring wrestlers on the list, Chris Candido was full of potential. Briefly appearing in ECW before it became Extreme, Candido would land in WWE as Skip, one of the Body Donors, most famously with Tom Pritchard, a tag team and gimmick Candido would be stuck with until he left the WWE to go back to ECW, where in my opinion he got to show off his incredible wrestling abilities against the likes of Lance Storm and Rob Van Dam, as he joined with Shane Douglas and Bam Bam Bigelow in a reformed version of the Triple Threat, and my personal favourite version of the group. Leaving ECW in 1999, Candido would show up in WCW alongside real-life girlfriend Sunny in 2000 for a very short run of about 3 months before leaving. TNA would pick up Candido in 2005, where he would wrestle and manage, however, he would sadly die later that year. Number 8, The Sandman. ECW legend The Sandman is no stranger to WWE, TNA, or WCW ring. While being most famous for being the Cane, Swinging, and ECW World Champion, The Sandman had a very brief run in WCW's attempt at an awful hardcore division under the name Hack. In his short run, he mostly feuded with other ECW stars such as Bam Bam Bigelow and Raven, before he would finally just go back to ECW. He would stay in ECW until its closure in early 2001. He would make various appearances in TNA, both early into its history as well as after he joined the WWE, part of their one night stand match, and then under the WWE ECW brand. He was even drafted to Raw at one point, entering a feud with Carlito, leading to a pay-per-view match between the two at the Great American Bash, which I have no memory of. Number 9, Terry Funk. Honestly, it feels like Terry Funk wrestled in every company known to man across his career. Having first appeared in 1985 and having last appeared in 2016, Terry Funk's career took him across ECW, WCW, WWE, and TNA multiple times. I could do a whole video just on Terry Funk, so I'll do the real short version here. In ECW, he was a 2-time heavyweight champion and a constant member of the main event scene. In WWE, he teamed with Cactus Jack as Chainsaw Charlie to feud with the likes of the New Age Outlaws. WCW saw Funk feud with Ric Flair in both 1990 and 2000 to put his career into perspective, before he fell into WCW's dying hardcore division. And TNA would see him face a young CM Punk in 2004. There's just way too much stuff to say about the great Terry Funk. And finally, number 10, Dusty Rhodes. Another wrestling legend who saw himself step into multiple rings, Dusty Rhodes is another wrestler who could get a whole solo video just for himself. A staple of the NWA and WCW, being a multiple-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, while feuding with Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen, as well as creating the idea of war games. The American Dream would make a stop in WWE, and the less said about the polka dots, the better. Dusty would leave WCW in 2000 and end up in ECW of all places, teaming with Tommy Dreamer in his first match to take on Steve Corino and Raven, before facing Corino in a singles match on pay-per-view. Early TNA would see Dusty appear to feud with Vince Russo of all people, leading Sports Entertainment Extreme, while behind the scenes he'd eventually find himself on TNA's creative team, helping book the shows. So I hope you enjoyed this list of 10 wrestlers to appear in WWE, ECW, WCW and TNA. If you have, let us know in the comments below, and let us know if there's anyone we've forgotten. Let us know who your favourite is, all that fun stuff. If you're not already, please like the video, it helps us tremendously, and if you want to support the channel more, you can do by becoming a member today for less than $1 a month. Regardless, we really do hope you've enjoyed. If you have, please consider subscribing as well. We've got more lists, we've got more wrestling reviews, predictions, fantasy bookings, TEW, wrestling games, everything you could ever need for your wrestling fix. And hopefully, we'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.